Good afternoon, I'm Jeff. I'm a Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 1952 Southwest Dickinson Lane here in Portland. We're located at the rear of the home, right under the deck by this little garage door back here. We have a 4-inch ABS cleanout. As you can see, we've advanced the camera out all the way to 187 feet. That's the extent of my camera here. And we're going to start reeling back here in a moment once it drains out all the way. We were out here the other day. I didn't have any rubber boots to go out into the marsh. It's a very long line, so we're starting this one a little bit in reverse. We've already scoped this from another inspection we did a couple days ago. So you can see we have water running. It should drain out here momentarily. We've had it turned off for about a minute or so now. We'll start reeling back here. And then we're going to move out to the secondary cleanout. It's about 100 feet out. And hopefully we can get to the end of the line. Alrighty, the line is just about drained out all the way. We do have a little bit of standing water here. That's why the water's not going away altogether. We do have a couple bellies throughout the line. Now that it's drained out, that right where we stopped there was where another, it looks like a belly is starting. We're going to constantly have water moving past the camera because we're sloshing water out of bellies behind where the camera's at. Up at the top of the pipe there, we have kind of a strip of what looks like debris buildup. I don't see any obvious breaks in the line there, anything like that. It looks like the line may have possibly clogged or something like that and got up there at some point. It could also be possibly a cobweb, or you get a lot of cobwebs being built in sewer lines. Anyway, that's not any damage to the pipe there. So we had some minor standing water we just went through. That stuff is really of no concern. It's very, very minimal. Similar with that there. That's sitting down below a 1/4 inch of water. Now, with lines that are this long, this one's probably going to be somewhere near 300 feet. Any lines that go over about 100, 110 feet, about 90% of them or more are going to have bellies in them. It's an incredible amount of ground to try and guarantee is not going to move. And where much of this thing runs, once it gets down to the bottom of the back hillside, is it's going through a marsh area that's very swampy. And you can fix these bellies, but more than likely they're just going to settle once again. You know, this line has a huge advantage of having a very steep hillside. Everything up until about 85, 90 feet is shooting through the line like a rocket because of the hill. Now, this belly here we're going through currently is sitting right around 1 inch of water. You can see here that there's really not a whole lot of debris in the line. There was a little bit of stuff when I first advanced out, but it was toilet paper, things that are going to just dissolve and move on their way. So as long as you're not putting anything down the line like rags or diapers or tampons, cooking grease and oil down the sink is another big one. Everything else is going to more than likely shoot through here with little issue. But with lines that are this length to begin with, even if they're perfect, they tend to cause debris to build up because they're 5 to 10 times longer than the average line would be, and there's not special toilets created for that to shoot that much more water through the line. So I recommend rescoping this in 1 year from moving in to check on the line. Everyone's living habits are different. And lines like this, it's not uncommon. It kind of comes with the territory. You're usually going to have some bellying in the line, and it's not terribly uncommon to have to hydrojet the line maybe every 2-3 years just to keep debris buildup to a minimum. But again, that has a lot to do with living habits. If you're not putting stuff down the line like paper towels and things that aren't intended to go down there, everything else is going to get through the line. Toilet paper and human waste, and then reasonable amount of food down disposal. That stuff, if it does hang up, will move on its way very quickly because it's going to dissolve and break down. This is one of those where ideally the line wouldn't go through a marshy area, but there's not a whole lot you can do about that at this point. So that's the reason why I do not recommend any repair there. So here is our secondary cleanout. I found that out in the marsh there, so we're going to move down to that spot here in just a moment once we reel out. All right, that whole section of pipe there we just scoped out to about 187, 190 feet. All that pipe is in good condition. There's no breaks or breaches in the line anywhere. It's intact. Again, we do have a there's a couple spots with really minor standing water. There's one area with a little bit more significant of a belly. It's about 20 feet long. Again, with the way this line is set up, given how long it is in this back hillside, as steep as it is, shooting the water through there, it's one of those. It's just not worth doing a repair on, in my opinion. It is worth keeping an eye on. What's hard to know, like I said, if you fix that belly, it's going to settle again because there's so much water movement through the ground back there. But I would keep an eye on it. I would re-scope it maybe every, 3 to 5 years just to make sure it doesn't continue to settle and get worse. Because there's so much water movement there, it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen. But anyway, I'd re-scope it in a year at the very least just to see what it looks like at that point. All right, we are now out in the field. There's the house back behind us, and this was almost exactly 100 feet out from that first point of access. Anyway, this first 80, 90 feet roughly is going to be stuff we've already seen. And that's the belly we've already been through there. The line has made a couple turns here to the right. I think it's trying to head over towards the right side of the property. And right around here is roughly where the camera made it to the first time around. Actually, it's probably right about here. So remember, we hit somewhat of another belly once we stop the camera. Alright, popped out there. Alright, looks like we do have a root intrusion here at about 142 feet out. Pretty large one. Oh, and it's right at the main lateral connection, looks like, right here at 143 feet where the line terminates. Alrighty, this is kind of a tough spot to describe here. The line heads back to the rear right corner of the property. That it looks like the fence line kind of makes an L shape here, and it goes all the way to the rear right corner, as far as you can go. I don't know how far the property line is. It's a difficult spot for me to mark. There's a whole bunch of mud there and a ton of wasps. So I've taken a picture and I'll draw a marker on there. It's right, there's basically a big swamp, or not swamp, but a big mud puddle right next to a huge stump from a tree that was cut down. And I've taken a picture with there's a little tan shed down here at the bottom of the property. I've taken a picture next to that looking back into the woods for a reference point. I would imagine it's from that big old tree that's there, that's been cut down. Anyway, that's a pretty large root intrusion. Even if the tree is cut down, if the root system is still on the ground, they will remain alive for a very long time, if not indefinitely. So I do recommend that be fixed. And being that it's right at the main lateral connection, it's possible that may be a city responsibility there. It's hard to say. That's right where the two pipes meet each other. But that I do actually recommend correcting. All these other bellies we're seeing in the line here, if it wasn't swampy down here, I might recommend fixing them, but even still, it's extremely common to have bellies in in long lines like this. So I recommend jetting the line, getting any debris out of it that's here from the current homeowner, and then just watch what goes down the line. Folded toilet paper and a reasonable amount of food down the disposal are not going to cause you any issues. It's stuff like paper towels or balling up a big giant wad of toilet paper and flushing it down there. So I recommend jetting it, and then I would re-scope it in a year to see what it looks like at that point, and then that will give you a baseline for how the line's handling your living habits. And you know, generally these things might need to be cleaned out maybe every 3 to 5 years. But with the huge hillside here, you've got about 100 feet almost of drop. That's going to keep things moving very nicely for a long time, even probably up till you had a pretty significant clog. Now, yeah, we've got 2 bellies here in the line, both of which are about 20 feet long and holding about 1 inch of standing water. The root intrusion there, that's one that you can't really predict. It can keep growing and block the whole line, and you can cut it out, but it comes right back. So you can do a similar thing. I mean, you could jet the sewer line and cut the roots out of it, but it's something that can come back, and you may have to redo that a whole bunch of times. Anyway, aside from the root intrusion there, the rest of the line is in good shape and functioning. It's not functioning properly as we've got bellies, but it is functioning. So I would just do what I recommended there. The line should function just fine. I'll try and give some idea of where this is at here. So here's our clean out. I am staring straight at the rear of the property there. The house is almost directly behind us. So it's headed off that direction into the little kind of handle on the L shape, if that makes any sense. But I do have a picture, and I'll put a drawing on there to make it a little clearer.